Glenn, describe one other key issue you would like to address if elected and how you will address it.
Well, I've got a whole range of points that I'd love to address, and obviously I won't have time to speak to you all about them now, but you can have a look at my website, glenfitzpatrick.ie. Also have a look for me on Facebook as well. I've got a video there. So ultimately, if you want to find out more about my issues that I'm really interested in, you can go have a look at that. I suppose I'll pick housing because ultimately this year, when we started our term as officer board, we were pretty much walking right into the middle of a nationwide housing crisis that nobody was talking about in regards to students. So ultimately we had to very, very quickly highlight the student issue in this, and I felt that I was a real sort of a planter with those issues and making sure that the team was up to speed about things like that. I've been working very closely this year with the likes of Threshold and We're Not Leaving to make sure that the team understands the wider, I suppose, implications of the housing crisis. And it's not just about, I suppose, putting students into digs and thinking that's good enough. We actually have to make sure that students are at the centre of housing policy, making sure that, Construction 2020 goes a little bit further than mentioning the word student accommodation once. It's about ultimately realising then that when graduates sort of move back into the real world and trying to get their foot into the housing ladder, I mean, ultimately, that's becoming harder and harder. We're seeing more people in their late 20s than ever before moving back in with their parents. We're being told that, first time buyers, that, that owning the semi-detached house is a thing of the past. So ultimately, I think, as well as that now, we're talking about student accommodation being looked at with a market view. That's not good enough. That makes it an access to education issue, and ultimately it could really affect an awful lot of things. It's already impacting our international reputation when international students come over here to try and find things out, and they're ending up having to stay in hostels, and trying to do a project at 2 in the morning, and a stag arrives in from Bristol, and ultimately those things aren't fabricated. They're real stories, and ultimately if we can't make an impact on the housing crisis from a student perspective over the next 12 months, it's only going to get worse. So I genuinely believe that going forward into the next 12 months, USI has to make a serious impact and make sure that at a local level, colleges are taking back on the duty of care to the students and making sure that their students are actually looked after in regards to having a roof over their head. It's a basic fundamental human right, and USI has to speak out on it more.